All right, good morning, everybody. And we're going to be kicking off our media availability here with Joey Logano, driver of the number 22 Shell Pennzoil Ford for Team Penske. Joey, you are coming into this weekend red hot. The Team Penske team is red hot coming into this weekend. 6 straight top 10s, 9 out of the last 10 races. You guys have been in the top 10. Most recent winner in the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series at Talladega last weekend. Obviously a much different challenge, though, this weekend at Dover. How can you guys capitalize on that momentum that you have coming into the race weekend, and how important is that to kind of take that into the rest of the season?
Well, it's super important. It felt so good last week to, finally break through and get that win again. We've had a few seconds since Richmond, but to be able to break through and, lead a lot of laps last couple weeks and get some stage points at Richmond and then going to Talladega and breaking through and getting that win. That's a huge confidence builder for our race team. We've always believed that we can do it, and we believe that we're the best race team out there. But when you don't win, it gets harder and harder to believe that. And to be able to go out there and make that happen is a big, big boost for us. So it's all about carrying that momentum now. All right, it's we're in the playoffs. It's all about getting as many playoff points as possible, winning those stages, collecting the regular series season points. And then winning those races, that's where the most playoff points come from. So now we can, keep doing what we've been doing. We're not going to change what we've been doing. That's what we've been shooting for all along, and that consistency's been there. But to see the speed starting to come, that's the big difference. So, heading to Dover, like you said, we're feeling really good, and we're ready to push hard and try to get the big trophy here, the big monster.
Obviously, you're a Northeast guy. Dover's one of our few Northeast racetracks. You made your National Series debut here in 2008, the NASCAR Xfinity Series. How good does it feel to know that you're close to home, and this is a racetrack that you do have some positive history with in the past?
Yeah, I started my first Xfinity race here back in '08. So, Dover's always been a special place for me. Got to do my victory tour here the other day and go to the Air Force Base down the road and visit a lot of our servicemen and women and say thank you. And that was really special. And thanks to the racetrack for setting that up. But I do enjoy coming here. As a race car driver, is probably one of the racetracks that you still feel like you're going very, very fast and things are happening quick. So it's definitely a badass racetrack, and that part never changes every time I get out there. It's a lot of fun for us race car drivers. So I look forward to Dover all the time, and hopefully we're able to find some speed in our car. This has been probably a weaker racetrack for Team Penske as of late. We've run well here, but the last 2-3 years has been kind of a little bit of a struggle for us. So hopefully with the speed in our cars that we've had the last few weeks, and then and some of the things we've learned here in the past, we can make our cars quick today and then win on Sunday.
All right, we will open things up here to the media room. Claire, we'll start with you in the front.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. When teams go through what yours did last year and then it took this long to win, sometimes that eats up teams. It didn't yours, but people were talking initially. They were like, oh, this is going to be hard for him and Todd. How did you guys work that out? How did you work out not kind of eating on each other?
Well, I mean, you're 100% right. It's definitely a time that it's easy to start pointing fingers. It's easy to start saying, well, it's this, it's that, and that's when teams just kind of implode from the inside out, and that's basically the end of that race team. But to be able to fight through that, you have to stick together. You have to keep working together. You have to keep doing the things you did when you won. But obviously it's a lot harder when you're not winning. So for us, we stuck together as a team, not just as the 22 team, but Team Penske as a whole. No one in the race shop is pointing fingers at me or Todd or anybody really. We all kept our heads down and kept digging, and we knew we were going to fight through it. We knew we still had the capability to go out there and win races, because it's the same group that did, same group that almost won 2 championships. So I feel confident in what I had around me. It's just it's hard to get through it, and honestly, once you get through something like that, you become stronger as a team, right? And the teams that are able to hold together and get through that, you learn a lot, right? And so why God puts you through things like that sometimes is to force you to learn something. And I learned a lot about myself as a driver. I think as a team, we learned a lot about each other, and to hopefully prevent that from happening again.
ESPN. Did you have any sense of relief once you found out the car did pass Tech at R&D? And do you come into this race with any sort of different aura? I know the approach is not different, but does it feel any different knowing, okay, we're back in the playoffs compared to the last 46 weeks you've come to the racetrack?
Yeah, well, it's funny. We had a driver council meeting at the R&D Center on Tuesday, and I walked in there, and they had snacks over there. I walked over to snacks. I'm like, "You're not serving cucumbers over here, are you?" And everyone got a good little laugh out of it. And I said, "Well, I guess we're good." And he said, "We're good." I said, "Thank God." So I didn't want to go through that again. And so we're all set there. So that feels really good. And you had a second part of the question, and I don't remember what you said.
You're in the playoffs now compared to the previous 46 weeks.
Yeah, there's a little feeling of relief in a way within the race team that you kind of, okay, we're in. The goal has changed, right? You know, when you start the season, you know, it's always to win the championship, but you have to take one step at a time, right? You got to get in the playoffs first before you can win the championship. Learned that last year. And, you know, for us to say, okay, we're in the playoffs. Now we can focus in on winning the championship. Let's focus on, like I said, getting those points, getting those stage points, the playoff points, and winning those races to help us get to Miami. That is the next goal at this point. Is we got to get to Miami and then fight for the championship. So, you know, one of the three goals, you know, checked off, and now it's on to the next one. So that's a good feeling.
We're gonna go to Reed, Lee, and then Jeff.
Reed Spencer, NASCAR Wire Service. Not to bring up a bad memory, but almost every highlight reel from Dover still 9 years later includes the incident in the 20 car. When you come here, do you still think about that?
I honestly don't until you bring it up. It's not you. It's everybody. It's a spectacular moment here, and unfortunately, when people think of Joey Logano and Dover, they think of a big crash. So we got to figure out. Even if I win, I still think it's going to be people thinking of the crash. That's what happens until someone else barrel rolls, and I hope that doesn't happen to anybody. But that's just, I mean, oh well. It's been so long ago. It doesn't bother me. You know, it is what it is. I always thought the funniest part though is when I came back here the year later, or was it the next race? They had the program. I don't know if you guys remember the program they had, and they had Miles the Monster, and it had the thing when you turn it, it moves, you know, when you move the front cover, and it had my car. Miles the Monster had my car in his hand, and when you turned it, it slammed my car into the ground, and I thought, oh, that's nice. So, thanks, Dover, but we're good now.
We'll go to Lee.
Be honest, what do you really think about Matt Kenseth coming back next week? Just kidding.
It's just us to be honest.
Gotcha. Anyway, when you were on the outside looking in at the chase, I mean, given the, you know, all the success that you've had since coming to Penske, how did you deal with it? I mean, I would think that, you know, the baby was a distraction. You know, getting ready to have the baby was a distraction. But when you've been that good and you're with a team that's that good, how do you, you know, what did you do? Did you just think of what can we do to get better for when the time comes?
Honestly, that's exactly what it is what can we do to get better? You know, we were in a slump for sure. You know, we came out of Richmond and we had our penalty, and then we had a crash the next 2 weeks. We crashed in Talladega, we crashed here, 3 weeks, and we crashed in Kansas, and we lost so many points those 3 weeks, and it's like, what happened? You know, and then we just didn't have speed in our car, and when you don't have speed, you happen to just get caught up in more junk. You don't score stage points. It's hard to make it up, and by the time we started figuring it out and getting better, the playoffs were starting, and it was too late. So you know, it was definitely a challenging season, but you just say, okay, let's get better. Is it frustrating? Is it really hard? Do you have to have those tough conversations? Yes, you have to. That's the only way you get better. You got to have those tough conversations with yourself, and mentally know how to become stronger, and with your team, right? You got to have those tough conversations, and they're not comfortable. They're not fun. They're, you know, but it's not supposed to be, right? It's a job. You know, this isn't supposed to be all about fun. You know, I'm lucky enough to enjoy it and have fun with this, but you got to remember that it's not really about fun. It's about winning, and the fun comes along with the winning part. So you gotta work for that, and and that's what makes it rewarding. That's what made it feel so good last week. I said it felt like we won the Daytona 500 because it's been so long, and we went through such a slump to finally win again. That feeling is like, oh, we got through it. It feels so good, and we have to keep working hard to maintain this level that we're at right now, and we're not where we need to be either. We won the race, yes, and we've scored some stage points, but we're not where we need to be yet. Our speed is not there yet. We're getting closer. We're making progress, but we're not, we're the 4, the 18, the 78. Those guys have been quicker than us, in recent weeks. We've made a big step to get closer, but we're not there yet. So we got to keep our heads down and keep pushing. And as Roger says all the time, don't trip on your press clippings because you won one race. You got to keep working hard at being able to, find more speed and win more races.
We'll go to Jeff.
Jeff Gluck from jeffgluck.com. You mentioned there was a drivers' council meeting on Tuesday.
I knew I shouldn't have brought that up. I knew the next question was going to be about the driver council meeting.
Yeah. Are pit guns one of the topics that the drivers care about and are talking to NASCAR right now?
I think there's a lot of different things we talk about in these meetings, and a lot of it comes from NASCAR and helping the communication to the drivers on what their thoughts are and what the next steps are as a sport. And then we put together a list ourselves of questions and things that we'd like changed, and mainly it's just a place for us to be vocal and be able to express our concerns, good and bad, in our sport, and which is good because the drivers care, right? We care, right? And it's not just about what the drivers want; it's about what the industry wants. It's what is good for the media. It's what's good for our fans. What's good for our owners. And NASCAR does a good job at venting all that, and listening to us drivers, listening to the team owners, listening to competition directors, and putting that together and making the right rules changes. And it's something new for our sport, right? It's something that we haven't really had those avenues for all of us to work together as one, for our sport. Usually it's, you just walk in the trailer and complain about something. But now when we can come as a united force with NASCAR together, to make the right decisions for our sport going forward, so we're all are in a thriving industry. So our sport, it's in great health, and we talk about that. We talk about the amount of fans that are still watching our sport and how great things are going, and a lot to be proud of, and there's a lot to work on. As well, and I don't think that's a secret either, that we're trying to make our sport better and better every day. And you look at the things that come out of the all the councils, with the stages and some of the way we've raised the intensity and the way we've been able to save money for race teams, and all that's going to come with some growing pains. But if we don't make change, sometimes we will fall behind as a sport. And I think we've all done a great job at trying to stay innovative and make the changes and make sure that health stays there. Yeah, we talk about everything. Yeah, we talk about pit guns. We talk about everything, and I think the pit gun thing's been fine. I think that's kind of, like I said, there'll be growing pains when we make some of these changes, right? There's going to be a learning curve for the race teams, for NASCAR and all that, but we have to make changes sometimes to continue growing, and there will be pain when that happens, but you can't stay in your comfort level forever, in your little comfort zone, because there's no growth in your comfort zone.
All right, we got time for one more. We'll go to Chris in the front.
Chris Knight, catchfans.com. Joey, at what point in the season do you have to be fully emerged out of the slump to be championship worthy?
This weekend it would be nice. I feel like we're getting out of it. Like I said, the win helps a lot, and Richmond helped a lot, and really, like you said, the 9 out of 10 races in the top 10, that consistency's there. I'd say we're doing a good job, and I feel like the confidence in the team is as high as it's been in a year, That's for sure. So, I think if we can go out here and have another good run and keep building those points and staying, up there into points, being second in points right now, we're not even far out of the lead. So if we keep just doing our thing, eventually, we're going to feel like we are the championship winning team, but we just got to get a little faster. I think that's really the biggest thing is just how can we be the car that's leading consistently, and we have been the last 2 weeks, but how can we be that, as we go forward in the next 3-4 weeks, and then we'll feel like we're definitely in championship condition. So, we have a little bit of time, which is good. I don't look at it as we have any time because I want to win next week, and I think those playoff points mean so much. But we got to be, one of those top 3 cars like I brought up earlier. We got to be considered one of them to feel like we're a real good, a strong threat of winning the championship.
All right, Joey, appreciate the time, and good luck this weekend.
All right, cool. Thanks, guys.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Gary Camp with Dover International Speedway. Thanks again to everyone for being here, for all your support of our events that we host here in Dover. Really appreciate all your efforts on our behalf. We hope that everything's going well. Just let us know if you need anything over the course of the weekend. We'll be around and glad to assist. We're working really hard to remain as your favorite 1-mile concrete oval on the circuit. Want to introduce a couple folks this morning. Ryan Troutman is with us. Ryan's the AAA Manager of Brand Management, and Austin Dillon, driver of the number 3 AAA Chevrolet. Ryan, get us started here. Talk a little bit about the sweepstakes and why you're joining us this morning.
Sure. Thanks, Gary. We're really excited to be here today to officially launch our Driving Like Dillon sweepstakes with the man himself. Everybody knows AAA is the nation's leading roadside assistance provider, but over the years we've grown, we've evolved, and we now offer a full array of automotive solutions for drivers for every stage of vehicle ownership. So to kind of bring that about to people, make them more aware of that, and to celebrate the ZL1 making its entrance into the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series, we decided to put this contest together and offer up a pretty sweet ride.
So what does the winner get exactly?
So the winner will receive a 2018 Chevy Camaro ZL1. And in addition to that, we've put together a full suite of AAA products and services, including a 1-year premier membership, a AAA battery, a vehicle protection plan, $500 worth of repairs and maintenance at one of our approved facilities. And best of all, we're going to bring the winners back here to Dover in fall for the race, VIP trip to present them with all their prizes.
Excellent. And last question, I'll tee you up. How do you enter to win?
Pretty easy. Just go to AAA.com/Dillon. And I will say there's a little question and answer there about our products and services. There's some pictures of Austin there. It's kind of a little game. It's fun. It takes about 30 seconds, but good place. So AAA.com/Dillon.
Excellent. Once we're done here, we're going to move outside and we're going to unveil the car and show everybody what that looks like. Austin, have you seen the car?
I actually will be seeing it for the first time here in a second, but I got some inside info from the people who kind of made it look really cool, and I'm excited about the reveal. And as a kid growing up, you always see these different sweepstakes with drivers and stuff. This is the first time that I've been a part of being able to give away a car, and it's really cool for a partner like AAA to step up and for our sport to promote this, and hope everybody gets behind it. And good luck in trying to win our Camaro ZL1 number 3.
Yeah, I forgot to mention, it is inspired by the car that Austin will have on track this weekend.
That's awesome. Austin, leading into Dover here, what are your thoughts going into the weekend? Are you excited for this weekend?
Yeah, I'm very excited. Trying to get back on track here. After Talladega, it was kind of a bummer. We had a pretty good execution of a race, and then you come home with a bad finish, running through the grass and destroying a car. So getting to Dover I'm excited. Been excited about getting here all week. Had some solid finishes last year, but we want to improve on those. And Bristol was really good for us, so I think we bring a similar setup here, and we can work on it throughout the practice sessions we have. Come home with a good run. We need to get some. I'd like to gain some stage points, hopefully a bonus point at some point, and bring home a top 10 finish.
All right. Any questions from the assembled media for Ryan or Austin? Claire, come on.
Jeff's got one.
Claire has a question, everybody.
I just met Claire this morning.
I called AAA this week. I had a tire.
And how was your experience?
I had a flat tire in the Hall of Fame parking deck, and I had to call because it's hard to get someone to come help you in the parking deck, and AAA came and helped. But this is not for commercial purposes.
We didn't set that up. I swear that wasn't staged.
Austin, talk about how difficult this racetrack is when you first came here, first time you ever came here, and how long it took for you to learn to kind of not be on edge, even though you probably maybe still are always that way here.
It's a tough one, especially your first time. We've got a driver in the truck series there, Tanner Sorensen, and I was telling him, I'm like, don't be discouraged because this place is hard. And the first couple laps out there, you can be really aggressive, and guys that are comfortable and been here before, they show this aggression out there, and you're like, wow, how do they go that hard? And you get comfortable as you get more laps on the track here, and then the race kind of comes to you. Also, when you start, the green flag drops, the speeds come down a little bit, and then the best handling car starts to really show up. So if you work on your car and stay consistent, let it come to you, it'll reward you in the race. And this place is always, I think, more fun to race than to practice or qualify because you're trying to catch your breath during practice and qualifying the whole time, and you get in the race and you kind of relax a little bit.
Any other questions from downstairs? Chris,
Jeff's
Lee?
got one too.
Jeff, we have a microphone.
Jeff Gluck from jeffgluck.com. So at Talladega last week, I'm not even sure I realized that you got kind of up in the air a little bit until I saw like that picture afterwards with all the dirt. So you were basically going to avoid the accident. You didn't get like hit or anything, and then just by going through the grass, that got you out of shape like that?
Yeah, I never hit a car in that entire accident until after I hit the grass because at that point the car was already destroyed and I couldn't get stopped. But yeah, the wreck was happening and my spotter was saying go low, and I saw the car starting to come even lower. So I saw there was a gap in the grass, so I just cut left. And when I cut left, the first part of the grass was okay. Then all of a sudden it just felt like I hit a tabletop jump or something and destroyed the car. And I looked at it on Race Hub. They showed a video of it. They had like an aerial view. And I actually, the first part of the grass was fine. It was like the first 5 feet of it. Half the car was still in asphalt and the other half was on the grass. Then when I got completely on the grass, it just jumped and took all that grass with it. We think it was a drain of some sort or something that like a pipe or something that was underneath the track. But yeah, it completely destroyed the car. It knocked the front clip up and the rear quarter panel off of the car and punctured the radiator too. So we were done after that. I was thinking about that. Yeah, and you know, it's hard with the ride height rule to be in favor of grass, but definitely if there's something down there like at Kentucky when they had to remove that grate that was there in the front stretch. I don't know. I'd like to go back and look at that exact spot because my brother crossed the grass literally like a half a car length left of me and had no damage. And Casey Kane did too, I think, or one other car did the same thing I did, and they made it. I don't know if I just cleared the way for them or what, but yeah.
Lee, who has the mic?
A lot of times when Daytona 500 winners win, they go through a little bit of a slump, and currently being outside of the top 16 right now, where are tracks where you think you can make a move in the points to, kind of, I mean, you don't have to solidify your standings, you're in the playoffs, but where can you kind of start picking up points, do you think?
Well, this next group of tracks are some of my favorite tracks. You got Charlotte, Kansas, Dover, and we always seem to gain points during the summertime. If you look back at my stats, my summers are really good as far as being consistent. And truthfully, we've been decent all year long. We haven't had the speed, and there's reasons for the speed not being there, I feel like. As far as Chevy as a whole right now, we're working to find the speed. But the execution, I'm not disappointed with the execution of our races, just disappointed with the next group of cars we need to catch. If you walk through the garage, you can see, if you walk through the trailers, where the speed's at kind of at the moment, and because we park in order. But the next group of tracks are really good for us. I'm excited to get there and get to those, and including here, that we can gain points, and we seem to do that pretty consistently. And Talladega just took us from 13th to 17th, so that was the big jump, getting us out of the top 16. It's pretty tight right there, but yeah, I'm looking forward to the next group of tracks.
Chris?
Yeah, Chris Knight, CatchFence.com. Also, when you're speaking to Tanner Thorson, what's your outlook for him for tonight's Truck Series race and the upcoming races that he has coming forward? Can you give us his schedule?
Well, I think it's kind of tough. Want to set goals for him, and it's hard because we're trying to develop that team and him at the same time. But biggest thing I think is finishing the race. That's the first goal he needs to set. It's his first truck race. Finish the race, and I feel like if you finish the race, you're going to have a top 15, top 20 easy. Top 15 needs to be his goal too, I think. And it's hard to set a guy like that wants to run up front. His first goal is to finish the race, but I think that's a good start for him here in the Go Share truck.
Any other questions? All right, let's head outside and unveil this car. Thanks, everyone.
All right, we are now joined by the defending race winner here at Dover and an 11-time Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series winner here at the Monster Mile, Jimmie Johnson, driver of the number 48 Lowe's for Pros Chevrolet for Hendrick Motorsports. Jimmie, coming into the weekend with a little bit of momentum. You got 3 top 12s in your last 3 starts coming into this weekend, and obviously, one of your favorite racetracks. What does it mean to come into Dover, knowing you have a little bit of momentum and it's an opportunity racetrack for you and your race team?
Yeah, I can relax a little bit more coming to this racetrack. I guess with it being my best track and the love I have for this place, I'm always excited to come. But trying to get the 48 car back in victory lane, I can take a little pressure off myself here, knowing that the rhythm style, the way you need to drive this track, the setup for the car. And we'll get it close, and history shows that. Hopefully we get it perfect, and we can have the day that we really want to have and get back in victory lane. But it does take a little bit of pressure off me, knowing that this is my best track and knowing that this is my favorite track.
Excellent. We'll start opening things up here to the floor. We'll go to Caleb first, and then Jeff in the back.
Caleb Whistler, KickingTheTires.net. With Mother's Day being next weekend, what's your fondest Mother's Day memory, and how has Mother's Day changed for you having kids?
It's really tough to pick a memory, but I can say that in the Johnson household, my mom was really the one that gave me and my brothers, our compassionate hearts and our understanding mindset. And my dad's a very happy and fun guy, but there's nothing like mom. Mom is the one that's kind of instilled that in all of her boys. And then now watching my children and knowing the mother that they have in Shani, it's just spectacular, and she is very very kind, understanding, but at the same time, I think her strongest form of motherhood is leading by example and showing our daughters about chasing her passions and her dreams. So I've been surrounded by strong women my whole life, and I'm in a household full of women. We even have 2 female dogs, so I'm covered up with moms or potential moms. So it's been a big part of my livelihood.
Jeff?
Jeff Gluck from jeffgluck.com. Jimmie, following your team, it seems like feels like there's a big temptation to look at this track as a big measuring stick for you guys, because, if you come out and do your usual thing here, it's like, okay, yeah, it's the 48 team still. And if you're off or something, it's going to be like, oh my gosh, sound the alarms. Like, what's wrong with these guys? Do you buy that at all?
I think I'm doomed regardless right now. I mean, it doesn't matter the track or the result unless it's a win, and lots of wins. I think, we have created an environment of very high expectations because of the success we've had, and I think people forget how special our run has been, and we certainly want to get back into those ways and have it happen again. But history shows it doesn't happen very often, and we're very fortunate to harness lightning for a long stretch of time. And the encouraging news is we are making our cars better each and every week, and so I'm more of a realist in where we're at and what we're doing, and reflect back and think, damn, we had it really good for a while, and it was really special. But we're a victim of our own success, and I hope to create the headlines that we won, and the headlines being along the lines of, well, they should have won. It was Dover.
All right, we'll go up to Claire up here in the front next.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. You have had so many wins here. And in the interviews that I've had on the air recently, we've all been talking about how when a driver like you learns a track like this, how much the driver and his feel for the track versus the car and the setup, which you also have to have, it affects the win, right? Can you talk about how you learn to get the feel here? If you have a special feeling about your connection with this track from inside the car?
Yeah, I think, in my mind, the feeling that you have at this track helps direct the team and lead the team to the setup that you need. You can't do it without the car. That's just the bottom line. And having a good car is important. I've been very fortunate to have that at Hendrick over my career. And then I just fell into a rhythm at this track that I could help steer the team and find that extra tenth of a second that separated us from others. A few guys have really dialed in on the feeling here and have been consistently strong, which is no surprise. Guys like Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, they've really shown some strength here. So it's nice to know you're at a track that has a certain feeling, and chances are this place isn't going to be resurfaced, so it can last, and that feeling you look for lasts. And I think Bristol was like that before the repave. It's changed so much here lately, it's hard to dial in on that. But I think concrete tracks do give you that advantage that the feeling the driver looks for can last a long period of time.
And did it take you a long time to get that? Like, do you remember when you first came here?
I showed up here in an ASA car and made a lap and was in love. And I came in and looked around at my competitors, and I remember Gary Santamont looking at me, and his eyes were like pancakes. And he's like, we shouldn't be here. This is too fast. This is crazy. Jumping into the turns and jumping off the turns. We shouldn't be here. I'm like, dude, I'm in heaven. This is awesome. So since my first laps here in an ASA car, I fell in love with it.
Right in the front.
Bob Pockris, ESPN. Jimmie, if you're being a realist, who's more poised to win on Sunday, you or Chase Elliott, who has 4 straight top 5s here, but still looking for his first win?
Yeah, that's a good one. I don't. He came so close in the fall. I just watched the race. Man, I don't know. It's a good one, but I know who I want it to be. Chase is a great guy and Lydia's favorite driver, but it's time for Dad to win.
John Smallwood, Philadelphia Inquirer. Jimmie, you talked to me the other day about jumping into the curves and getting airborne. What exactly does that mean, and you said that your off-road experience, comes into play. So how is that different from what guys who haven't had that experience?
Yeah, I think, from an off-road perspective, you realize how you can use the throttle to point the car as you're getting light and airborne. You can use the throttle in different ways to change the arc and the line. Also, the way the car lands in the turn. You can make it a very abrupt landing. You can make it a soft landing, all by the inputs you give the vehicle. And the upbringing I had on the dirt and driving those vehicles, that was just kind of second nature. And of all the tracks that we run on, this one has that element to it. So when I look at Kyle Busch and his growing success at this track and competitiveness, it doesn't surprise me. He has dirt cars and plays in the dunes, and he's from the West Coast area and in the desert out in Vegas. So doesn't mean it has to happen that way, but I think that's what helped me identify with how to drive this track early. Real early in my career was, the throttle controls the vehicle here unlike any other track, especially on corner entry.
Dan Galston, the Associated Press. Jimmie, what's been the single biggest factor in your losing streak?
In what? Sorry.
What's been the single biggest factor in the year-long drought, I guess, for you?
We just haven't had the cars where we need them, and I'm a part of that process to get the cars where we need them. So I'm not pointing fingers. I think as a group, from everybody at Chevrolet, everybody at Hendrick Motorsports, everybody on the 48 car, my other 3 teammates and their teams, we collectively need to do a better job, and we're working hard on it, and we are doing a better job, and we're seeing those rewards slowly coming along. I think we have been the benchmark, or we've been the high water mark for so many years that other manufacturers and teams invested a couple years in figuring out how to beat us, and we're living through that right now, and we're needing to recreate ourselves and how we go about handling business, and a lot of that change has happened, and I think it'll just take a little bit longer before it really starts providing for us.
Any more questions for Jimmie? Going once, going twice.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jimmie. All right, we are now joined by the driver of the number 19 Stanley Tools Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing, Daniel Suarez. Daniel, coming into the Dover weekend with a little bit of momentum, 3 top 11s in the last 3 weeks after a little bit of a rocky start to the season. What's changed the last few weeks, and do you think you can capitalize on that coming into this weekend?
You know, definitely in the first month and a half or so of the season was a little rough. We had speed pretty much everywhere we were going. We just had a lot of inconsistency, and for whatever reason, we were not doing a good job putting ourselves in a good position by the end of the races, getting involved in different accidents or just not good positions. And I feel like I was putting maybe a little bit too much pressure on myself to try to do well. And in the last month or so, I've been just more relaxed and doing just this without expecting to be great, and things are coming our way again. So the speed, like I said, has been there pretty much the entire year. It's just the results and the consistency. But it seems like now we're heading in the right direction. We came from good, decent few weeks, and hopefully we can keep that up in a place that actually is pretty good for me.
So let's talk about Dover a little bit. This has been a good track for you. You know, you won here in the Xfinity Series, 2 top 10s here in Cup. What is it about Dover that's been good to you in the past? You know, why does it fit your driving style?
Well, I feel like Dover is one of those places that is very tough mentally and physically, and the racetrack changed so much through a run. It's one of those places that you need to know how the racetrack is going to change to be able to adapt to that and to be able to adjust your car to that. Right now in the morning, the racetrack is going to be in one way. Once we get some sun out, the racetrack is going to change, and then it's going to change again, and that happens pretty much the entire day. So I feel like, since the very beginning, actually, since I was racing K&N, I feel pretty comfortable racing here. Very fast place. It's a little intimidating the first time that you hit this place, but it's a lot of fun. I love having places like this that definitely are a big challenge, and they are tough for yourself, and definitely this is one of them.
All right, we will open things up to the floor here. Anyone have any questions for Daniel? In the back.
John Smallwood, Philadelphia Inquirer. Daniel, can you tell me how your success is playing back home in Mexico? Is it a big deal, or is it lost in other things? What is your reactions for what you're doing?
Okay, I didn't hear the very last part of the question.
No, I was just asking, what is your reaction back home to the success you're having?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a lot of fun. It's been a while since I was there, but every time that I had the opportunity to go down there is a lot of fun for me to see how a lot of race fans are actually becoming NASCAR fans, because racing in Mexico has been big for a long time in open wheel, in road course racing, but maybe in the last 5 to 7 years, NASCAR has been getting bigger and bigger, and I feel obviously now that driving in the Cup Series definitely helps a lot, and a lot of people is following the sport, is following actually not just on TV and stuff like that, but as well they're coming here. So it feels very good to have a lot of support from my country, and definitely to see the sport grow more and more in the fan side, but as well in the driver side. There is a lot of young drivers that are trying out, coming here to race late models, to race K&N series through the diversity program or through themselves, and it feels very good that now there is an opportunity to follow. And I feel like when I was coming here, there were not a lot of drivers trying. So I feel very proud that now there is more opportunities because what we are doing in the Cup Series.
We'll go to Jeff next.
Jeff Gluck from jeffgluck.com. I noticed you've been posting a lot of workout videos where you're using your hand and stuff like that. Is your hand back to 100%, or is it still bothering you a bit?
It's not 100%. Actually, if you notice, all the stuff that I have posted is pulling, not pushing. So I can use my like the front part of my hand very, very well. But when it's time to push, my thumb is not quite there yet. But definitely I'm way more strong than every week. I'm just stronger. Actually, I had a little thought about trying to race this weekend without my little cast. But the doctor told me to wait a couple more weeks. So I feel pretty good right now. I'm still stiff and still a little sore when I move it too much. But it's much better than a couple weeks ago, for example. So I'm excited to finally have a regular glove and to not wear this thing.
How much pain does it cause you in the car?
In the car, actually, it's not bad. I can tell you, definitely Texas was extremely painful because that was the race that I had a problem. Bristol wasn't fun either. It was very tough. But after that, it's been fine. If I'm wearing this little brace, I'm fine because I can move at all my thumb, so it's fine. It's not painful at all. It's not 100% comfortable because I can't really grab the wheel how I want it, but it's fine. Like I say, I'm really looking forward to try without it in a couple of weeks.
Go up front to Chris.
ChrisKnight@catchfans.com. Daniel, is there enough time during this summer stretch that's approaching for you guys to get in a playoff contention?
You say a playoff position?
Contention. Is there enough time with the races coming up that you guys can get yourselves in a good spot to potentially get in the playoffs?
Oh yeah, there is plenty of time. I feel like it's still very early. We can set back because it's still early, but we're in a good position. We are running better. We are starting to run where we belong in the top 10. Hopefully, we can start running in the top 5, and if we can do that, we're gonna be just fine in points. But that's obviously not the goal. We want to be able to win races and to be able to make the playoffs, not just to say that we make the playoffs. So we want to be competitive, and we want to be a race team that is gonna be able to make it, in different stages of the playoffs. So and that's the goal. That's not just to make the playoffs to say that we made it, but we're working hard at it, and I know that today we're moving in the right direction.
Any more questions for Daniel? All right. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.